Okay guys, so welcome back to the channel. I'm Natalie Henry Charles, and today we are talking about whether or not I feel like if Atlanta Market was worth it. Okay, so whether or not I feel Atlanta Market was worth it. Unequivocally, I'm gonna say yes. And here's why, right? So the thing that I learned, the biggest thing that I learned when I went to Atlanta Market was that it's not necessarily about how much money you make. Did we do well? Did we do okay? Yes, we did okay, right? But you have to, it's kind of relative to the outcome, right? So when I went into this, I thought, okay, you spend $8,000 to $10,000 and then you get $8,000 to $10,000 in sales. But the reality of that is you can go there and write 0 orders. And I know this because there were people that wrote 1 order, maybe 2 orders. And I will say that I went during a very slow time. So there are 2 market seasons, 2 main market seasons. The 2 main market seasons are usually like a summer and then a winter. Summer is typically starting in July and going all the way to August. And then the winter is like starting in January going to February. And so it kind of depends when you're going, but a lot of the sales that happen are sales that are post, the best time to go is basically like post Christmas, so during the winter. So as you know, there's Atlanta Market, there's New York Now, there's Shop Object, there's Las Vegas Market, Dallas Market. All of these are kind of like the major heavy hitters. But just because you go to a heavy hitter does not mean that you're gonna necessarily make sales. So I want that to be very clear because, I mean, I knew that in the back of my head, but I didn't really like, you know. I was like, I'm spending all this money, so they have to have the traffic, you know, like you're gonna have traffic because I'm spending $8,000. But the reality of that is there's a lot of things that play into whether or not people come to the market. Weather is a really big one. Overall financial status of the world. So based on how the economy is doing, you're gonna have people that are either more local or more, if they're gonna travel, it's probably gonna be a bigger show, so that's good. But like what I experienced at the summer market was there was not a lot of people there. I don't know how many people were there, but there was not a lot of people there. And I realized that I probably should have just waited until January to, you know, get my ducks in a row. Because I kind of feel like, you guys know I was going through this financial thing and I forced myself to still go thinking that, okay, well, this is going to bring in like more money for my family and this will help out. And I feel like it kind of cost us more, not financially, but like stress-wise. So let me start with the good, right? So we did break even. We were able to bring on 14, well, I guess 15 now technically since that order just went out. We were able to bring on 15 new retailers. So that was amazing in and of itself because you have to also think about longevity of an account. If you bring somebody on and your line is doing well in their shop, they're gonna place a reorder. In fact, I just had a reorder. Someone from the show reordered this past week. So in and of itself, that total is already more from that show. So you first have to kind of look at all aspects. The biggest thing I learned was that the show is not about how much money you make at the show, how much orders you write at the show. It's how many relationships can you make at that show? How many people can you get in contact with and meet and like get in front of and put your business card in their hand, put a catalog in their hand? How many people can you do that? with at the show. And so obviously if they have a slow show, it kind of means that you have to make those impacts with the people that are there. So we did walk away with several leads. I'm going to keep working those leads. I don't care what anyone says. I'm working those leads until I die or they tell me to stop. So, you know, again, the value of how much we made is still determined. It's still yet to be determined, because if any of those leads pan out, then whatever sales I make from that needs to be attributed to the show that I did in July, right? So the biggest success that I had at the show was two. One has not panned out and one has panned out, right? So I was able to meet the licensing, someone who works in licensing for Ecolo. And she loved my work. She took my business card. She took catalogs. She requested design pieces from me. And already they are putting what I submitted to them in front of Five Below. And so they're talking to Five Below about bringing those designs to journal pieces for Five Below. So, you know, when I think about things like that, I get very excited because, you know, who knows how that will pan out or when that will pan out, right? So I was able to meet her and she was amazing. She was very nice, very kind and uplifting. So it was exciting to meet someone in that side of the industry. And then on the flip side of the industry, I was able to meet the buyer for Hallmark Mahogany. She was walking the show, she saw me and she was like, "Do you own this brand?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Perfect." She was looking for Black owned brands. So I'm thankful that I was there and that I had the opportunity to work with her. The order just went out. And so it went out last week, Monday. They already received it and everything. So they're processing it. I got paid for it and everything. So it was just very great to have that under my belt and to have access to someone like the Hallmark buyer. And like, she's amazing. I'm working with her on like a private project for her personal company. And it's just been a dream to work with her. So I have to attribute that to the show. If I was at home on my couch, not doing anything, you know, then it would kind of be like, okay, how would you have met her? You wouldn't have, you know? So I think it's very important to look at these relationships and then look at the long-term value of them. And she's working with me for other pieces for Hallmark. So she was like, "These are the things that we want. If you could get us these, I'll place an order." So obviously it has to fit within their needs and their aesthetics and stuff. But you know, like, as long as she sees her end user buying it, you know, I think that it will be a good relationship, you know. And so it's not just that one order that was placed, it will be several, you know. I'm confident that in the future there will be more. So I'm very excited about like, your girl has stuff in Hallmark Mahogany's website, you know what I'm saying, or on Hallmark Mahogany's website. That is no small task to be accomplished, you know, and I'm very proud of that. So that was one great thing that happened at the show. I was also able to meet one of my mentors, Andy Meehan. He's amazing. He's about to be the president of the Greeting Card Association, and I'm very proud of him. And it was great to meet him in person. We have only ever talked online for the last 3 years. And so it was nice to see him in person, put like an actual, you know, three-dimensional body to the name and to all of our conversations and to all of the guidance he has given me. So it was just great meeting him in person. And you know, the other side of it is I learned a lot. So I'm gonna get into that in a different video. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any video of the permanent showrooms, but I wanted to do even a second video of like all of the different types of showrooms that are available and all the different types of options for attending the market, so that you guys can see firsthand, you know, well, not firsthand, you guys are not going to be able to see it, but so that you guys can understand going into it. So you guys can decide before, you know, getting a temporary booth or signing on with a rep group, you guys kind of understand the nuance of the show and what the different areas are. So I'm gonna do a separate video of that, but my eyes were just completely opened, and I cannot tell you enough how excited I am for the future. I am like, I didn't think that this is how it was done. I've wholesaled for 5 years. Yeah, I think about 5 years. And I realized that I'm barely scratching the surface. Barely. You know, and on one hand it is a little bit overwhelming, but then on the other hand it's also very invigorating and exciting, because then I'm also seeing the other side of it. So one of my friends, he's like my good friend, he actually like helped me buy my house. He's my realtor. I met him through him being my realtor, and now we're friends. And he was saying that, you know, he was doing some freelance design work for a showroom, and you know, they were writing, like each rep was writing upwards of $175,000 at that show. Times 32. Times 32 reps on the floor, you know? So for that show, you can do the math, $175,000 times 32. So you can see the type of volume that some of these companies are doing. And you can see the volume that some of these types of companies are, you know, really turning through and pushing out, you know? And I think it's very important to know, one, what you're up against, but then two, what's possible. My first perception of this was like, wow, that's why nobody's in the temporaries. They're all in the permanent fixtures, you know, they're all in the permanent displays. And I initially thought, I was like, you know, like I never really had a chance, you know, but I am very proud of what I went to Atlanta and what I accomplished. There were a lot of people that were writing like 1 and 2 orders after spending all that money, you know, and I just feel very sad that not everybody had like at least what I had, you know. And I was disappointed with what I had until I realized that there were other people that were not, you know, that were in a different position from me, you know. I think because I had a lot riding on it, it felt like that. But the reality of it is I did a really good job, and I need to get better at acknowledging the work that I've done, you know. And I'm very proud of the booth. I'm gonna show you guys in a separate video the booth. I'll put a picture right here so you can see it for now. But I am damn proud of that booth, and I hope I don't cry, because like literally everything bad that could have happened before I got to that show. Even when I got there, there were no walls. I had paid to have it delivered to the advanced warehouse, and my stuff was not at my booth when I got there. And so basically, you know, it set my entire schedule off. So I am so thankful that what you even see there was possible. Because at one point I was like, I spent all this money and I'm not gonna have a booth. I'm not gonna have a booth come Wednesday. So I composed myself, because it was like, I literally went to hell and back for that show. I'm not gonna lie, I literally went to hell and back to get to and from that show. And even when I got back, it was like drama. Yeah, so basically I am very happy and excited and proud of the work that I did. And I would say that it was 100% worth it. Am I going back in January? I'm not sure, because like I said, I've been going through this like financial crisis. And so I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the funds, to be quite frank. And you know me, I always try and be like very upfront with you guys. All the money that I'm making in the business is basically getting redirected and recirculated to my family. And so the money that is coming in is not getting reinvested, which is what I usually do. I reinvest it. I might get something for myself, but for the most, like for my family, but for the most part, I just reinvest it in inventory, in ads, and marketing, and a studio, you know? Like I always just kind of reinvest my funds, and I have not been doing that. So things are a little, you know, tight right now. I'm hoping that I can still pull through and maybe find some place in a corner somewhere. Unfortunately, the area that I was in, which was on trend, I was very proud to be in on trend because it's juried. Unfortunately, they're completely sold out already. They've been sold out for already like a month or so. I think they sold out at the end of the beginning of September. So that's unfortunate, you know, like at minimum, I at least wanted my same spot, if not something better, like a corner spot. But the biggest thing that well, not the biggest thing, one of the things that I learned was these people are on a circuit. Okay, my camera died. Well, it didn't die, it got too hot. So we're back. And basically what I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the internal temperature of my camera. Basically what I was saying was that these people are on a circuit. So I remember thinking like, oh my God, it's so slow. Like they were giving incentives. If you put down your deposit for the next show, at the show, they gave you a discount. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. But I was like, am I gonna make the money back? Did I already make the money back? Like, will I be making the money back at some point down the line? You know, like where would the cash come from? Like cash flow is always, you know, kind of like, unfortunately, kind of prevalent in my business. So, you know, because I bootstrap everything, because I pay for everything myself, you know, I'm always concerned about like where my money is and like how long it's being held up, right? So I'm like, you know, you have to have some cash flow to do this. And I think that is an important thing to note, is the fact that a lot of these companies, they were already booked by the end of the show. And the reason why I know this is because they were also giving away, it wasn't a free booth, but it was like, I think it was like $500 off your booth if you booked before the end of the show. And so obviously the incentive is to book so that you get into the drawing, because most people are not going to like, you know, are not gonna book by the end of the show. So not only do you get to reserve your spot for the next show, so you're like first in line, but you're also getting the opportunity to possibly win some money, like win some money off of your booth. So based on that, a lot of people signed up, and like even the person at the top of my row, so like they're in rows. I'll show you guys in the video, like, because I took some video. You're not supposed to, but I'm ride or die for you guys, so I literally risked myself doing that for you. So just, if you could like this video, it would show me that you're appreciative of me risking my life. So the people at the end of the booth, they had already paid for their booth before the end of the show. And I know because they won $500 off. Every day they were sending the list of people who won money off their booth. So they won. So I knew that they had already paid their deposit. So just to think about that is just like, kind of gives you some insight. It's kind of like by the time you get in, it's kind of over before it's done, if that makes sense. So as you know, at shows like that, it is very important to have good placement. So you might be thinking, how do I get at the top of the aisle? How do I get a corner booth? How do I get a big booth? How do I get like right off the escalators? The answer to that is that you have to be booking early and consistently. So if you do the show, you have to have the money to put the deposit down for the next show right then and there. So a booth is $4,000, know that you don't need $4,000, you need $4,900 because you're gonna want that extra $900 to put down while you're at the show, right? And I think that's kind of one of the things that I didn't really prepare for, paired with the financial situation my family was going through. It was kind of just like not possible, you know? And so the good spots honestly sell out very quickly, and you don't want to be in like a very weird area where the rest of the people don't make sense for what you need client wise. So I'll tell you right now, so I was on Trend, and so there are juried sections, and the juried section that I was in is, like I said, already sold out, unfortunately. So if I do go, it would have to make sense location wise, honestly, because they had like a British area where it was all like, you know, brands from the UK. They had Made in America, where it's like everything that you have is made here in America. They had regular gift section, which the gift section to me, I just felt like it was so much of a smorgasbord of people. Like, you really didn't know where you were gonna be, like who was gonna be next to you. And some of the displays, okay, I'm not trying to be mean, right? And I don't know how to say it without sounding rude. Some of the displays were not as curated as like some of the other displays. So I was across the way from a company called Foggy Doggy, and or Foggy Dog, and their booth was amazing. My girl, so I met this girl named Stephanie, and she happens to live here in Orlando too. And my girl Stephanie, she literally had her foot on everybody's neck, like literally, like us down on the ground, because no matter what anybody else did next to her, like that booth was done to perfection. And I was very appreciative to be right next to her because it was thoughtfully curated. Like, it was beautifully designed, there was story, and there was organization, and visually aesthetically pleasing, and you know, just like gorgeous. Chef's kiss, 10 out of 10. But then directly next to me is like this person that just like literally just, I'm not gonna say that in case they're watching, because they sure do have a channel anyway. So you know what I mean, like, whereas other people have not necessarily put in that much like thought process into making their design look nice, Stephanie really like put her heart into it, and you could tell, you know, whereas like there were other brands there that you could tell that they just like kind of like threw it up, and it's just kind of like a convention type trade show, not like anything design focused or beautiful to look at. It was just like collapsible walls, you know what I'm saying? So, and then some people, even though you're supposed to have hard walls, they didn't even have hard walls, you know? So all of these are things to take into consideration. And when you go to the non-juried sections, it's a free-for-all. They don't even have to have hard walls. And I think that was kind of like the hard thing for me. Is like, I feel like at this type of event, you should have hard walls. you could finagle it like I did, right? But you should have hard walls. Like, that should be a thing. Without a doubt, though, I will say, yes, it was worth it. But I will talk about the cons in a separate video. These were more like the pros and what I did see and the things that did work out for me. And if the stars aligned, I would do it again. If I had unlimited access to capital, I would do it again. In fact, I would probably double down and get a bigger booth. I would probably get a corner booth, you know. It was for a slow show, for no one being there. I thought I made really solid connections for no one being there. So I can only imagine when it's a high traffic show, it's like a good show, like people have money to spend, you know, like I could see it being a really, really good show. And then like financially, I could see it being very profitable at a January show. So that's it for now. I hope you found this content helpful. It was kind of like a little bit all over the place, but you know, that's how we roll sometimes. And so, like I said, I will put the negatives, the cons in a separate video, so be on the lookout for that. I hope to see you next week, and if you like this video, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!